This is a timeline of my Doomerism to my Boomerism, and really even before my Doomerism. My Doomerism started when I was 12, much younger than the normal Doomer. I think once I started to get nervous in front of the class when I had to read, I think that was the onset of my introverted Doomer life. And then really after 12, I started playing EverQuest, which really solidified my Doomer state. That game became my life. I was obsessed with that game. I would come home just to play for 3 hours before my dad would take the wires away. And then I would think about it all night, the next day, come home just to play on weekend. I would play 24/7. That was the start of me not going outside anymore. I used to play sports, and I hated playing sports, but at least I would go outside. And then after, maybe I played EQ for 2 years, not going outside, hanging out with my friends who played EQ as well. And then just to give you a hint of how much of a loser I was, I think when I was 14, me and my friend, and then 14, mind you, we weren't 8 years old. We're 14 years old riding our bikes around the neighborhood, LARPing. We were making believe that we were fighting monsters at 14 years old in the street, and one of the kids in high school brought it up because he saw us. And I was just like so embarrassed that I just didn't even answer him. The kid was like, "I think I saw you outside punching the air," and I was like, I didn't say anything. So that's just how big of a loser. I think Doomers. I think Doomers were born from being a loser in society. They might not see themselves as a loser, but in society standards, they are. And so I think that's how a Doomer is born, and that was me at 14. And then after that, um, I know at 14 you're supposed to be trying to get girls, but as a typical Doomer, girls are off your radar. You could care less. I didn't have the self-esteem to get a girl anyway. I think I was 6'2", but I was like 130 pounds, anorexic. I had gyno, so my nipples were like pointy. I had these pointy nipples as a 132-year-old. So I wore like a white T-shirt. I looked like it looked ridiculous. And I didn't really. My dad was very strict. Had a very strict upbringing. He was a strict Marine, and I never had any plans to accomplish anything because there's no way I'm going to outdo him. He graduated third in high school, graduated 1%, top 1% in Annapolis, and then went to the Marines for 6 years, and then went to Wall Street for 20 years. So for me and my brother, we gave up early. We gave up very early. And just to give you an idea of my relationship with him, I had a dream that I killed him. I was stabbing him. I was crying as I was stabbing him. I didn't want to kill him because he was my dad, but I had to kill him just to survive. So this is a real beginning of a doomer. Uh, and a lot of because I didn't have any interest in girls, a lot of family members thought I was gay. They just figured I was gay. And some like a job later in life, when I was older, even in my later teenage years, one worker was like, "You're either straight or you're gay," and you're gay. So I had a lot of people thinking I was gay. After 14, when I was 15, I got out of EQ. My character died somehow. I logged back on. My character was naked, so I said, "Fuck this," and I quit EQ. I started playing Dota, and Dota, I lived on Dota as much as I could live on Dota. I played it nonstop from 15 to 18. That's all I did. Me and my friends would play until 6 a.m. in the morning, and then we'd go to Burger King, and then we'd go to bed at like 8 a.m. and then wake up at like 3 p.m. just to play more video games. Girls were out of the question completely. Regular life was out of the question. I tried fitness at about 15, 16. I think a depression hit me, and I realized that I wasn't living a normal life or a healthy life. And I started working out because I was so skinny. I was anorexic practically. So I started exercising every day, just doing bench press because that's all a young a young kid knows how to do. I just started doing bench press. I still do fitness. I like fitness, but I thought maybe it would pull me out of doomerism. I was sleeping in class. Every class I would sleep in or cut class. I started smoking weed at 15 and 16. I did mushrooms a few times. Just to tell you how bad my high school years were. Besides cutting class, not going to class, girls are out of the question. Don't go to prom. I think I had like 30 plus detentions when I graduated. This is really the beginning of my doomerism. This is really the preset. This is indications that you're going to be a doomer. At about 19, I wasn't sleeping. I never could sleep, but I wasn't sleeping at all. So I thought maybe there's some type of issue going on. So I decided to go see a psychologist, and he diagnosed me with major depression. Uh, I don't know if I don't think I had major depression, but I mean, yeah, I never knew any other life, so I didn't have anything to compare my life to. So I thought it was a normal life. I knew there was something wrong, but I thought it was a normal life. And then later I went to another psychiatrist, and he diagnosed me with bipolar, which I don't know how accurate that is either, but whatever. Maybe I had bipolar and major depression back then. And then I decided, you know what, let me try to change something up in my life. And so I started to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That helped a lot. Uh, I still had the same doomer attitude at 19, 20. Didn't go outside, didn't do anything. The hobby was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Dota. Girls were still out of the question. Never kissed a girl yet at 20. I had like a job. I had a few jobs, maybe a few jobs, but I got fired from like all of them for being a doomer. They just said you're a fucking sad doomer. You don't do anything. Get the hell out of here. Uh, so I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 5 years. So I definitely think you need a hobby. Definitely need something just to go outside. You need a reason to go outside. But also at about 19, I tried opiates, which is really what you don't want to do with a doomer mentality. You don't want to try opiates. Opiates will bring you to the darkest side of the earth. Uh, I wasn't doing them all the time, but I was doing them for fun with my friends who were also doomers. I think one of my friends, maybe one had a girlfriend out of like all my friends. This is how much doomerism was going around. At 21 to 22, me and my friend decided we would try pickup artist stuff. So we would go to the city and try to pick up chicks, which failed miserably. Girls wouldn't even talk to us. We were horrendous. Then I officially gave up on girls. But then at 22, maybe 23, 22, I was at a block party with my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, and they were like, "John, prove to us you're not gay, and that hot chick that is actually talking to you, try to hook up with her." So that was the first time I kissed a girl. I was at 22. I kissed a girl at 22, and I did it pretty much because people told me to do it, which sounds gay, but I assure you I wasn't gay. At 24, this is where everything hit the fan. This is when my doomerism kind of hit the fan. Shit hit the fan. 24, I had my first girlfriend, which was probably a bad idea. The reason I got a girlfriend was just to have sex. I just wanted to have sex because everyone was talking about it. Society has a word for it if you don't do it. That's how important society makes it out to be. You're a virgin. There's no other word for if you don't do anything. There's no other word. So I had my first girlfriend, which was a nightmare. I had a motorcycle at the time. I got a motorcycle, I got a drug addiction, and a girlfriend all at the same time. When I had my girlfriend, before this, I forgot to mention I was doing heroin. I did heroin for about 6 months. I did opiates a lot, but then I did heroin for about 6 months. I decided to give up on life and just did heroin for 6 months. But then after I was getting deep into it, I was like, you know what, there's no way out of it. I'm going to get I don't think I realized what I got myself into. And I think that life is going to get I think life bad now, it's going to get real bad. So I decided that one trip, my friends went to Cancun and decided to withdraw in Cancun in the 100-something degree weather with no water and just die, just to get away from heroin.
Okay, so I gotta make the second half again because it got cut off. The audio went bad. So I'm at the point where I got a girlfriend. I didn't mention to maybe around this time before this I would do opiates, heroin or opana, and I would try to race people on my motorcycle. I would just go on, get high, and then get on my bike and try to race people. And maybe the worst part, the highest peak of doomerhood was probably when I went down exit 1 to exit 6 in the Seaford Oyster Bay on my bike on heroin or opana, going about 120 miles an hour the whole way. And when I got off, I was like shaking, and I realized, you know what, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die doing this. This is getting really bad. So I break up with my girlfriend officially because I end up losing my job from my drug addiction, and I had a terrible relationship You can't have a relationship on drugs. You can't have a relationship with anyone. It's just too chaotic, and so I break up with my girlfriend. Shit just hit the fan. So I decide, you know what, I'm done with opiates. So I stopped doing opiates. Uh, and this is about when I slowly, this was my transition maybe to boomerhood. This is when I slowly became a boomer. I didn't automatically become a boomer like the next day, but just reversed. So I was at the deepest part of my life in the doomerhood, and so I slowly reversed. So I went back to my computer. I started playing Dota 2. Played Dota 2 for a few years, from like 25 to 28. So all I would do was I would just play Dota 2 with my cousins, and I would go to the gym sometimes, and then I would work like my 8 hours a week. I had like a part-time job. I would work 8 hours a week, and go to school. I didn't even mention I went to school for 10 years. I went to college for about 10 years. That's how bad I was. I would just cut class, get high, smoking weed high with my friends, and play Dota 2. And I would work like 8 hours a week. So I did nothing. I was like literally never going outside. Barely. I was barely hanging on, but I was trying to come back. This is where I was like, you know what? Let me try to go to class and try to get a life. So I eventually graduated at 28 or 29 or something. But I was playing Dota 2 from like 25 to 28. And then my wrist started to hurt. I wanted to be a professional gamer, I thought. Professional Dota 2 player. And I was good. I was like a 5400 rating when 5K was a big deal. So I was pretty good. But my wrist started to hurt horribly, so I couldn't keep going. I was too old anyway to be a professional. So at 28, I stopped playing Dota 2. I graduated, I think, and I decided I wanted to do stand-up comedy. I did that for about 1 year. I did stand-up comedy for about 1 year. A perfect place for a doomer is stand-up comedy, because you meet a bunch of other doomers. Because every stand-up comic is a doomer, sad, depressed doomer, and so there's like camaraderie there, and just you feel comfortable with those people. It's very uncomfortable doing stand-up. It's very nerve-wracking. That's why I stopped doing it after a year. It was just too nerve-wracking. I just liked getting that out of me, that nervous energy out of me. Then about 29, really the main thing that made me a boomer, my main transition to a boomer, was dating. Dating is the biggest thing that makes you a boomer, or biggest thing that gets you out of doomerism. Doomers don't date. I think if you date and you have a full-time job, you can't consider yourself a doomer. So I started to date at about 29, 30. Went online, did online dating. But I was too afraid to date chicks my own age because they just want kids. So I just dated older chicks. I would date older chicks just to get experience with dating and also have sex. I think if you can have sex, if you have the option or the ability to have sex with women, I think that's the biggest thing that pulls you out of doomerhood. I feel bad for the creatures, the guys who have deformities, and maybe they're 5 feet tall or they're very, very short, and girls don't like them. It's much harder. I don't have any advice for those guys. I don't know what to tell those guys. This is really for mental cells. Mental cells who are decent looking, they're just crazy, maybe they have depression or something. To get out of doomerhood is really to try and date. Try and date. And also have a full-time job. Every doomer is afraid of having a full-time job. There's nothing wrong with having a full-time job. They think that, this is what I thought, that if I had a full-time job, then I won't be able to live my dreams, if I have any. But to do what I want to do and have a hobby and stuff, you have plenty of time. Even with a full-time job, you have plenty of time. I could probably add 3 more hobbies to my life. That's how much time I have, even with a full-time job. But also, you need a full-time job for skills. You need social skills and dating. Dating builds social skills. Just going outside, talking to chicks, learning how to talk, and having a job. You work with other people every day, so you're interacting with other people every day. You have to be social. Forget. I know you don't want to be a wage cook, but don't worry about making the money. It's not a big deal. A bigger deal is the social skills, just talking to people, and getting out of your funk and of living in a room your whole life. Plus, you can't survive. If you want to live with your parents your whole life, then okay. But it's not fun living with your parents when you're 30 years old. It's depressing. So at about 32, I think I've become a full-fledged boomer, from depression or just being introverted, still introverted, but staying inside 24/7, to now I date and have a full-time job. So I think I'm officially a 32-year-old boomer at this point. I just got to start listening to AC/DC. That's it. But yeah, that's my transition.